Welcome to Kathryn Raaker's World. Innovation, culture, adventure, fashion and health, artists, destinations, traditions. This is Kathryn Raaker's World.
Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker of Kathryn Raaker's World. Our guest today is Kim Jones. And Kim is Kim Jones Alliance. That's her company. And she draws on her 25 years of combined corporate and C-suite experience, coupled with her deep knowledge of leadership norms and best practices in the corporate world, to develop leading resources for women who want to advance their careers and create maximum workplace impact. She created Kim Jones Alliance, KJA, for individuals and companies looking to accelerate the progression of women in their work and careers. As part of this work, she partners with her clients to examine the structures that exist in their organizations and identify and implement solutions that create more equitable outcomes for women and other underrepresented groups, whether they be through leadership development or culture change. And I want to welcome you. There's a lot more in your bio, right? But I can see that you really care about not only your clients, but changing the structure that I pioneered in. And I felt like it was a lonely soul out there in a male-dominated careers that I had. So I want to welcome you to our show, Kim. It's such an honor. And I'm excited about what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Kathryn. It is such an honor to be here. And I love having this conversation around women in the workplace, and especially as we were talking before the show started, with pioneers like you who sort of set the pace for the work that we're doing now. So it's an honor to be with you today.
Oh, thank you so much. I could tell you some stories about what I went through.
I'm sure
in the financial
world,
and also in the automobile industry. So, but I'm really very short in stature. So you can imagine I'm looking up all the time, if that makes any sense. But anyhow, why should I, or any of my clients or anyone that would like for someone like yourself to hire Kim Jones Alliance, especially for my company or my clients that I have that are looking for other opportunities?
Yeah, it's a great question. So just a little bit of background on me. As you mentioned in my bio, I came up through the corporate world. I spent 25 years in various positions, ended my career as a senior executive in the IT space, and was charged with doing a lot of big transformational programs, which was made more challenging for me because of some of the dynamics that I faced as a woman in a male dominant field. So things like biases around my competence to lead, my competence as a woman in tech, and so forth. When I left my job, it was really with the intent of increasing the representation of women in male-dominated fields so that they could have more influence and impact and achieve better balance and parity in these organizations. So as you look now at where we are in the workplace, it's really kind of an interesting time post-COVID to be reflecting on how organizations are looking at everything from their leadership, the skills of their leaders, the cultures they have, the kinds of employees that they hire, as well as how they retain them over time. And it's really sort of a challenging time because we're seeing so much churn that's happening in the workforce, with the Great Resignation turning into the Great Disengagement and now quiet quitting. And all of those factors have led companies, I think, to really take a hard look at how they're building their cultures and cultivating their leadership skills to try to build very high performing work organizations in the 21st century. So what my company specifically focuses on is how to produce cultures, how to build cultures that are more inclusive and allow people to achieve their highest potential, to be engaged, to be inspired, so that those companies are able to benefit from that. And importantly, we also see the folks that are in these organizations able to contribute at their highest capacity in a way that they are leveraging their strengths and their capabilities. And importantly, where all workers can thrive regardless of demographic, gender, and those types of things. So hiring me and working with my organization really brings forth the experience that I've had in the corporate world, coupled with training that I've since had in coaching and cultural anthropology to really understand the power structures that exist in companies and how those need to be looked at in a way that can start to build those inclusive leadership styles and cultures in companies now at this post-COVID time that are experiencing so much disruption, disengagement, and churn in their workforces. Companies who do that will win the talent war, which we know is probably one of the biggest indicators of success in terms of how companies progress, grow, and perform.
Well, how do you elevate women in business more significantly than the usual business coach or trainer? Because I've had business coaches, and you probably did at one time. And so what's the difference?
Yeah, so I think a big difference is the fact that I've actually lived in these environments. So many coaches come up through, and they're great coaches. They're the kinds of coaches I had as an executive also in my role. So prior to me venturing out on my own, I was divisional CIO for Farmers Insurance Company, doing some very large transformational work, had my own coaches as part of that. And I found that many of them came up through fields like organizational psychology. Many of them had worked in HR spaces, and they weren't necessarily as familiar with the kinds of environments that clients have to navigate on a day-to-day basis. So with my experience, I actually navigated the kinds of environments that my clients are in. So oftentimes we're looking at things like, how do the systems and the structures and organizations create specific challenges for the kinds of workers that companies are looking to attract from diverse populations? So leveraging that experience, coupled with then the fact that I am also certified in coaching and have a number of credentials with assessment tools and things that we use with clients to really help ground them in how they can use their own unique strengths and abilities in these environments that have dynamics that create unique challenges for women. So I do sort of the coaching and the advisory, the consulting based on my business experience. And then last but not least, my training in cultural anthropology, which really looks at the ways that cultures create the systems and structures that can make it challenging for people in non-dominant groups to succeed. So it's sort of a trifecta of education that I provide around these systems that people exist within so that they can select the right strategies to navigate within them, coaching to help them bring forth the strong mindsets that they need in order to succeed in their roles, and finally, the consulting piece of it based on my extensive experience in these environments. So that, I believe, is what sets me apart from the typical coaches out there, which bring different skills and experiences. Mine happen to be very specific to leading and building cultures that support inclusive workforces, 21st century leadership skills, and elevate the standing of people in underrepresented groups, particularly women.
Tell us, the short amount of time we have left, tell us about your first of its kind Academy for Women Leaders.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be launching an academy for women in male-dominated spaces who are either in leadership roles or are aspiring to elevate to leadership roles. And this program is unique in that it's really looking at developing the skills that leaders need in this post-COVID normal environment, where some of the practices and leadership modes really originate from times that were very different. So if we look at most leadership models that are in place, A lot of leaders came up through the 20th century. They may have some basically some skills that they learned that no longer apply in this period of high disruption and disengagement. So one of the things the Academy does is it helps leaders really hone the skills that they need for 21st century leadership. So examples of that would include things like having a strong orientation around building flexibility in leadership to help bring and cultivate talent within their teams that is specific to individuals. And this supports data that we know that younger generations and so forth are really looking for sort of curated career paths that take into account their unique talents and abilities. That's not how we led in the 20th century, but that's still how a lot of leaders show up. And it's not really effective for creating the kind of engaged and inspired work cultures that we're looking to build. So one thing would be having that flexibility. Next is building really empathetic leadership where we understand the unique positions of our employees and really can cultivate and support them in the whole aspect of their lives beyond just their profession. Workers are also looking for stronger well-being in the work that they do, meaning that their companies are supporting their well-being beyond just their financial well-being. They're looking for things like physical, mental health, work-life balance, a more holistic view on what well-being means to those employees, and then developing leaders as coaches. By the way, all of this information comes from Gartner research that says that the mandate for 21st century leadership is to have flexibility, empathy, a focus on employee well-being, and a coaching mindset as a leader. Most leaders don't show up that way. What we do in the Academy is we train them, or we give them education on how to develop those skills. Next, what we do in the Academy is we develop those navigation skills that women need in order to succeed when they are the only person, the only woman in many cases in these fields. Kathryn, like you mentioned, coming up, in your world, this can be significantly challenging, and having those navigation skills is so critical so women understand the playing field that they're on and can choose the right moves in order for them to maximize and achieve their highest leadership potential. And then we develop all kinds of tools around mindset, building confidence, dealing with imposter syndrome, building really strong networks, being able to do things like have difficult conversations and give feedback, be on stage, be visible, use your voice, all of the things that were really successful strategies that helped me elevate my career ultimately to senior executive leadership.
So I need to know where people can go to get more information about getting their company involved with you, so that they can either find people to hire. Am I correct when I say that? Or get a better understanding of how to make their company grow in an environment that is sometimes male dominated.
Yeah. So they can find me on kimjonesalliance.com. If they want to learn more about the Academy, there is navigation at the top that can take them to get more information to that, and they can schedule a consultation with me there. It's all very user-friendly and easy to navigate. And then they can also find me on LinkedIn. My handle is Kimberly S. Jones, and Kimberly is spelled Kimberlees Jones.
And thank you so much for joining me today on Kathryn Raaker's World. We've learned a lot about really helping women, especially, to help them grow and make their careers a wonderful experience instead of, some of the things that we went through in my era. So thank you so much for joining me. It was an honor to have you. Don't forget to go to our KathrynRaakersWorld.com or our radio show, Let's Just Talk.com. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.